I understand you caught a helicopter one day.
Yes, unfortunately I did.
Can you tell us about it?
All right. The two antennas went across this marsh that's down below the house. And the two antennas went clear across the marsh to the other side. And a Navy helicopter came around one day. They were looking for somebody that had pitched off the bridge. And for some reason they came in here, and they came in, well, they must have come in about 50 feet. And they snagged that first wire. And I was in the cellar at the time, and I heard this pop, 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 pop going around. And then I heard this burst to power. And I said, oh, Jesus, what the hell's that? So I stuck my head out just in time to see him rounding out just above the cattails like that, you know. And all I could think of was, my God, that must have given him an awful sinking feeling. Because, first of all, he had to catch the wire, and then that wire was pulled up. It had a 130-pound counterweight at the far end. So it had to pull up 138 pounds all the way up to 100 feet, tugging on this wire, you know. And then when it gets up to the top like that, the wire breaks, and all of a sudden he shot out like that, you know, and I thought, oh my God. But he recovered, and then he pulled up, and he started circling all around. I hid behind a tree. And he started circling all around, all around, all around. And of course it was a V-beam, so there were two wires like that. This was the one he caught. He went underneath that one and didn't touch that at all. But anyway, for a week or two after that, every day I used to think, well, is the letter going to come today from the Navy? And they never wrote about it. But gee whiz, that gave me an awful start.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. So what are we looking at now, Tim?
John,
All right?
tell us about growing up.
Yeah.
And radios.
We have this one.
Yep.
Don't let go. Okay.
I'm not let go.
All right, this one.
And what is this one?
This was produced as a kit
Okay.
by a company in downtown Manhattan. I can't remember the name of the company. But it sold for $5. And the theme on the ad was "Tune in the world on 2 tubes."
Okay.
And I was about 10 then. And I talked my brother into buying it. And they made it so you could have it either with a pair of 30s for battery operation,
Okay.
or 56s for AC operation. And Christ, my brother went in and bought it. He said, no, we don't want batteries. We'll have it for AC.
Okay.
So he got it with the AC tubes. That was as far as he went. And so it sat there in my room for 3 or 4 months. Said, I'll get a power supply, I'll get a power supply. He was not a radio man. He didn't know a power supply from an egg beater. And he said, I'll get a power supply. And so he figured around, and at one point he brought a power supply in that was as long as that. And I said, that won't do, that won't do. So it was 4, 5, 6 months that I never got to use it.
Mm.
And finally, I met a fellow a few years, half a dozen years older than I was, that became my mentor. And he said, oh, well, what you need is a power supply. Tell me about it, you know. He says, well, I got the parts, we'll make one up. So he made that up for me. Anyway, I had put this together when I got it, and it looked like a 10-year-old. Idea. And so it wouldn't work, and I showed it to this friend that I had just met, and he said, well, we can fix that. So the first thing he did was take a soldering iron, and he unhooked every damn thing that I had in the bottom of it, you know. I didn't say a word, my mouth was kind of, and he rewired it like that. He said, now that's how you want to do neat wiring that you can follow and it will work, which it did. Works very nice.
So that's your first receiver.
Huh?
That was your first receiver you've got on your lap. What about
my first receiver?
What about your first transmitter?
Oh hell! Because I got my license a year or two before World War II broke out, and this same mentor that I had, he made me up a breadboard with a tube in it, a triode, for a Hartley.
Okay.
And showed me how to tune it up and how to run it out on an antenna, and I used that, and I made all kinds of chirps and squirks with that for, I think, 2 years.
This elegant building is John's workshop. It's where he creates his radios, he does his gunsmithing, tool and die work, loading shells for the target shooters, and stores a large quantity of treasures. A new project.
And what happens in here, John?
Pardon?
What happens in here?
All my radio,
All your radio.
all my gunsmithing,
Okay.
all my tool and die work.
Okay.
What more could a man ask for?
This was for Bob Lundstrom.
Ah, okay.
And it's just all it is a mop-up.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite coal pitch tuner
Yeah.
with a 10 here, and then a 10 amplifier there.
And there are the coils that plug in here.
Yeah.
It's a beauty.
It's your workbench or gun. What is this? Radio and gunsmithing, woodworking.
Radio and gunsmithing.
Okay.
And that, you're looking at probably the only solid mahogany workbench in the United States. And I made that in South America years ago and shipped it up.
Very good.
I don't know what it cost the company to pay for shipping it. I didn't pay for it, but I like to build. And it's nice to have somebody that I can give it to. Otherwise, I just have to tear it apart and do something else.